Hey everyone, still here again today. Um, I have a problem with keeping things close to the vest. I put things out before they're ready to, and I'm trying to curb that. But it also creates my life is like one big paradox because it creates the paradox of how do I be raw, real, and honest about what I'm thinking, but still be mindful of not putting things out there. So I'm gonna risk it on this one. For a while, I've been feeling like there's been a breakthrough coming, and I haven't had it yet, but I can feel it's close. And I don't want to get my hopes up because in the last 4 years, I can off the top of my head remember 3 times that I thought like, "Hey, I got this licked. Like I'm in a good place. I'm happy," and then something will happen and it brings it right back. Um, I need change. I need things to be different. Um, I had some hardships, and I think I'm finally needing to vent about part of that. So there's a possibility later today there might be another longer video where I get some of that out because I again I feel like I'm close to something. But that's what this whole journey is about. I guess now that we're in the fourth video, I should go back to not say the beginning because let's face it, this is a lifelong process. Again, not a pity party, just facts is the systems that govern the way we have failed me consistently my entire life. Not a pity party. I know I'm a different person. I know that there's a lot of things I have to work on to fit in society. But you want to talk about one of those awakening moments. Let's go back roughly about a year ago. One of the things I do now, even though I'm not working, I'm not, in a healthy place, I have been blessed with the opportunity to help my family. We have a family member that, um, needs round the clock care. And that helps us both because it helps me help the family. It gives me a sense of purpose to help them. And by looking out for them, it makes me look out for myself. Like I was talking about yesterday about, self-care days and showering and eating. You don't want to do that for yourself. But because of the fact that I know that I have the responsibility of caring for a family member that I care for deeply, it forces me to discipline myself to take those steps. It's very easy when you're in depression to let yourself go because you don't care about yourself. So you need to find something that you care about. Something that when you're having that moment when you just want the pain to end and you'll do anything to make it stop. Something that'll give you pause like, hey, yes, I can make this stop, but if I do, these are the consequences that I'm going to leave behind. And some people struggle with that. I'm blessed in that I can get myself in that headspace of, it's ironic because a lot of people, all right, I know it's a little late. I should have put this at the beginning, but I didn't realize I was going to go here. Trigger warning, talk about uh, suicidal ideation, okay? Um, when you are in that headspace that you are willing to take that step, you need something that's going to make you stop and think twice. When this started, um, a few years ago, I was just like everybody else. I had a decent job. I went to work every day, tried to maintain a relationship, tried to, be the best possible me. although I didn't put as much effort into it then. But, you know, a lot of things have happened that have helped with that. But, you know, everything was normal. And then I had the heart attack. And then everything fell apart. You know, I lost the job. I didn't have health care. I didn't have, you know, I had a relationship, but I didn't have any real hope of maintaining it, because all the signs, both from society and the relationship itself, said, hey, you're on thin ice because you're in this position. And when I was at that stage, I've tried a couple times in my life. I've been at the point where I've been ready to take my own life. But surprisingly, it's been few, like to the point where I'll go through the action. And there was one point about a year after the heart attack, like I would say that was the absolute worst point. I was ready. And one thing that I'm not very open about, and here's the bombshell. I came so close that if the event that had stopped me had been 2 minutes later, it would have been too late. You know, I was stuck in my head, again, trying to reprogram myself. Like, the world is telling you you're different, you're not worthy, you're a piece of shit, nobody respects you, nobody, you know, in my head. But at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, well, let's rip myself apart and change myself to fit in with the world. Well, guess what? That's a mistake too. Don't do that. That was an error I made in the beginning, because one of the biggest causes of depression that I have come to understand is the fact that you are living life. You know, you hear comedians talk about it all the time. You live life in a mask. You don't get to be yourself. So compromise, but don't conform. You know, our part as human beings is to change ourselves to be palatable to those around us. But there's a reciprocation there, and that's something that I honestly have never gotten. And again, not a pity party. It's really not. I have gotten really good at facing reality. And my awakening moment for that was going back to my story. A year ago, I'm here taking care, and there was some communication issues. And it was causing problems. Nothing out of the ordinary. You know, it just... things were going by, and it was making the situation harder than it needed to be. And I voiced this. And it was a very frustrating time. And one of my... and this came from... and please, you know, don't take this the wrong way. I know it's going to be hard. But I had an eye-opening moment from a family member when I was expressing my frustration about this level of clarification. And they commented, like, you know, you have to realize that when you come talk to us, sometimes you use big words. And you expect us to understand you, and we don't. That was an eye-opening moment for two reasons. One, it was to bring awareness to me, like, hey, you know, I have an extensive vocabulary, and not a lot of people actually do in the world right now. Not many people. You know, when I was young, I was an avid reader for fun, you know, because I enjoyed it. You know, now as an adult, I tell myself you don't have the time to do it. But again, that's another talk for another time. I'm beating that. But, you know, but the very first question in my mind when I had that realization was, but if you know you don't understand me, why don't you ask for clarification? And that was one of those pitiful, you know, pinnacle moments, or I guess pitiful was kind of the right thing, because it made me realize not only does the world not understand me, but it doesn't want to understand me. It chooses because, and again, that's not, it's the way things are. That is reality. The world wants me to conform to be more palatable to them. And unfortunately, that's the part that's literally killing me. Again, I've said this before. I'm not built for this world. I'm on the transition team. You can feel how you feel, like your spiritual beliefs, but that's where I'm at. I don't fit into this world because I wasn't built for it. I'm built for what's coming. And that's the thing that keeps me holding on most now. Again, like I said, possibly later today there will be some clarity in another video, but there's been some serious setbacks lately in my development. And again, you can hardly tell. And this part is not the mask, FYI. This is truly, I have been doing it, again, I've been dealing with this for 4 years. I have ripped myself apart and put myself back together so many times in the past 4 years that I have it down to an art form. So for the people, I can't lie and tell people don't be concerned about me, because the thing that scares me the most is I understand that a lot of this is choice. And one of these days I'm going to have a moment where I just don't make the choice to keep fighting. And the longer this goes on, the more that becomes likely. I am fully aware of that. Again, self-awareness is its own personal hell. It's both my greatest weapon and my greatest detriment in this battle. But again, I don't hold it against people. And again, that's one of those things. Like, I know, for as much as, again, I touched on this yesterday, on paper, I am fully aware that I am a piece of shit. Okay? But I also am fully aware that to the people that take the time to get to know me, that I am an amazing person. Like, that's one of the things that I really hate this disease for taking away from me, is the fact that I know this, I just can't believe this. And it's a really weird place to be. Anyone who's taken time to get to know me and to sit and talk with me and to let me flourish and to let me use my gifts, to help them, I constantly get feedback. Like, dude, you're very open, you're understanding, I can talk honestly around you, and I can know that you listen. That is one of my gifts, because I'm constantly trying to understand. That is one of the things that tells me, even without outside affirmation, that I am a good person. I always, again, this is one of those affirmations that I tell myself each day when I get out of bed and I feel like I want to give up. It's the fact that despite the pain that I am in, despite the fact that I know that the world does naturally reject me in a certain way, I still want to be a part of it. I still want to fix it. I want to help people. I don't, sometimes I make the mistake of letting my anger get the better of me and I hurt others, but that's not what I want. Like, I've spent a lot of time with myself to get my anger in control, to slow myself down so I think before I react, because that's an ongoing struggle that I've had in my life. And I think it's a testament, the fact that I've been going through this depression and I've been able to hold on this long, that tells me, hey, you are winning at that battle. Because again, as many times as there's been that intrusive thought, like, hey, you can make it all stop. It'll only take a minute. And I fight it every time. Not because I want to live, but because I know I have this sense, this purpose, this responsibility. And when I have fulfilled that purpose, then my life will be my own finally. At least that's what I have to tell myself to get through this. You know, there's a lot of roadblocks in my life. A lot of doors are closed to me. A lot of doors that I shut myself because of mistakes that I made. One of the things that I hate about this world is there's no belief in redemption. You know, but that's the point of life itself, is to make your mistakes, to learn from them, and to do better. But again, after I made my mistakes, it's like, okay, I understand. Like, I see what went wrong. Like, I really do not like to make excuses, but I do like to explain where I went wrong. A lot of people get those two confused. But if I can understand something, I can change it. But if I sit there and just let it be, if I say, okay, this is the way I am, and I don't need to question it because it's the way I am, I don't need to change it, then I'm not going to. That's the self-fulfilling prophecy. And I don't like that. A general rule is there is always room for improvement. No matter how good you are, you can always be better. Again, that's one of those self-awareness things that's both a motivator and a detractor. Because, you know, there's a lot of times when I get at the end of my rope, one of the questions I ask myself is why? Why do you put yourself through this? Why do you try to be something that you are not to make others happy when no one is willing to do the same in return? And I think that when I figure out the answer to that question, it's going to be a game changer. Like, aside from the fact that this is who I am, this is how I choose to be. But it's different because I've seen people made of sterner stuff than I believe I'm made of do a lot less. So I'm trying to figure it out just like everybody else, and I'm aware of that. That's what all this is about. Anyway, we're at almost 18 minutes, so I went over time, and the other video I'm thinking is definitely going to go over time. So we're going to cut this here. But this has been today's session. You know, lets me ramble, lets me get some things off my chest, and hopefully put some kind of information out there that somebody can use so we can do better. All right, everybody, take care. Take it easy. Hopefully y'all be here to listen to me, you know, ramble again tomorrow. You know, that's all we got to do is keep coming back. You know, and that is not strictly an AA or NA thing. Keep coming back. You know, I can't guarantee it'll be worth it, but I promise to try to make it that way. All right? Have a good one.